Hey everybody. Hey, I just wanted to kind of do a video for Conscious of Economics and Urban Farm Project because of the food situation in the United States. Sorry, I have a little nest. I have a morning nest. Because it's really frustrating that people don't really understand, food. They don't understand, like, a carrot takes like 4 months to grow, you know, 3 months to grow, like under the best conditions, right? Naturally. Some plants like carrots take 2 years to grow seed. If you don't have seed, you don't have food. So I call it seed to seed, which means you plant the seed, you get some of the crop, you have to grow part of the crop to get the seed, seed to seed. The more seed that you grow, by the third time that you grow it on your land, it becomes more viable for your land because the seed has adapted and understands your land. It understands the soil, it understands the environment, it understands the water. And biodynamics, can you utilize, natural substances and preparations to enhance a lot of that stuff? It totally. I mean, one of the most amazing preparations that we make in biodynamics, for me, is the oak bark preparation. And because it actually teaches the soil and the water and everything where you would spray it in your area, it gives it a more solid information database for calcium and calcium's relationship with water. And it teaches the soil and the plants and the area, once it's sprayed on, gives it the data of drought conditions and how to deal with that, and also gives it data and information about flooding. So when I'm talking about agriculture in the ways that I talk about it, I've been really trying to stay off, the internet, or, because it all just makes me so irate that I have like a really difficult time trying to function. So for the last 20 years, this is all I've done. I've left most of my private practice as a traditional osteopath and nutritionalist and herbalist, and I've moved into the agricultural area, biodynamics, did studies, went to the college, got the shirt, took the ride, done permaculture, been all over doing agriculture, wherever anybody would let me come, that I could work on the land. Most of the time I did it for free. I just wanted to get experience and information and knowledge. And still now I'm in a apartment living on someone's floor during this COVID, third story floor, and have nowhere to grow anything. Now I get out into the environment and I look at the environment and collect, medicinal plants from the environment when I can. And I'm constantly looking at the environment and seeing what it needs and where it's at and what the stresses are and what's going on. What I do for the betterment of humanity, to, like, save the planet. And I'm just kind of shocked that people like myself, um, nobody gives a rat's ass about what we have to say. I mean, I have like the equivalency of 2 PhDs, over my lifetime of education and knowledge base. And I paid for all this education out of pocket because there aren't education places to go and get all the knowledge and information that I've gotten, right? I had to do apprenticeships, which meant I had to like move to new locations to go study with people. I had to go, my 40s, 37, I was going to farms and I was, shoveling for 12 hours a day, right? So, learning how to all of this works in the conclusions that I've come to, how we have to farm in ways that also support the nature in a pristine, natural way, right? And then also we have to start creating hubs which means taking down old buildings, retaking over areas, you know, not allowing them to bulldoze something down and then rebuild something, but taking that land to actually create sanctuary for positive carbon footprints. You know, it's fixable, and also for food for in the community. So one of the things like I lecture a lot about, which I get crickets, and usually people are like glazed. So the last, 12 years, I lecture wherever people will let me lecture about, community, urban, sustainable agriculture, land restoration, urban farming, positive carbon areas to help take down the negative carbon areas. Um, just a lot of these kinds of concepts, and nobody seems to really grasp what's going on, right? They don't really understand any of it. Now we're coming into a point where here, I've been talking about the food shortages coming since 2013, okay? And now we're starting to see them. I mean, it's leaking out on the internet. It's going to be full steam here pretty quick. But you can't do commercial or industrial farming. Number one, it's bad for the environment. It's bad for nature. It's bad for the farmer. It's bad for the farmer's land. It's bad for the soil. It's bad for the people, because the farmer produces, several huge, large crops for the year. They have a broker that comes, buys their stuff, also brings the transportation to load it into the trucks. Then the brokers take it to different hubs in the United States, warehouse it. They sell it to restaurants, grocery stores, whatever else, right? So then it's broken up into smaller pieces, and then it's shipped by boat, airplane, train, trucks, all over the United States from this farm, right? Which is totally not sustainable. The farmer's not in control of their food. The farmer is stuck. So now, these transportation systems and the broker, because there is no place for the broker to sell them. So broker's out. Broker is game out, because he's not going to be making any money, right? To do all of this work that's the in-between work, right? So broker's out, transportation's out, farmer has no way to get this stuff off his land. So he actually has to pull it up from the viable areas and dump it somewhere else, or till it back under and let the environment eat it back up, right? Maybe help to fix the soil. But because it's a one type crop, it's a problem. It's a problem to compost it, because you need a lot of other things in order to make a proper compost. So even if you till it all back under, you're going to have some serious bug problems. You're going to have some soil disintegration, because, it's one thing, right? It's not a combination of things to be broken down, right? There's only, all right, so there's no restaurants open anymore. More businesses are closing down. And there's less and less for money involved for the broker to broker the food. So they're not going to broker the food if there's no money in it, right? There's no money in it. They're just not going to do it. So the farmer is left on the hook. So the farmer probably, to do a huge, large crops, had to borrow from the bank up to 40% against their farm. So they're on the hook to lose their land. They have to buy the seed, one-hit wonder seed, right? They're one-hit wonder crops, mono crops, which are super bad for the environment, super bad for everyone, everything. Then they have to grow it, then they have to get it out, and then they give it to the broker. But then if they're not getting paid when the broker comes, then they're going to have to figure out what to do with all this other waste, which is not good for the environment. It's not good for the farm. It's not good for anyone. And the farmer doesn't have a way to get it to the public, right? Or on a local format. And the farmer's not looking to do this, right? They're not even thinking or problem solving for themselves, because they've been just doing the same thing over and over and over again. In some cases, some of these farmers have been doing it 3, 4, 5 generations. So they don't have any skills on how to problem solve. Instead of just dumping the food on their land to rot, they don't have any ways to actually get it to the local community because they're not even trying. So Albert Einstein, keep doing the same thing over and over again, the definition of insanity. You keep doing it over and over again and expect a different result. Yeah, well, we're at a point in time where we have to like figure this out, right? People have to start figuring this out. People are watching this video and they're farming, contact me. I'm consulting. I do builds, help people to live more sustainable agriculture. And so I'm just going to kind of explain what that's going to look like, right? In the near future, you're not going to be able to have big ag. It's not going to work, right? You're going to have to remodify your large farms and whatever else that you're doing, acreage. And you're going to have to focus on growing food for your family first and a diversity of food, because now you're not going to have the money to go to the grocery store and buy the things that you want to buy. So you make these crops, you sell the crops, then you buy what your family wants. That's retarded when you have land, right? That's like the dumbest, most unbelievable stupidity of all time. You're going to need to revamp your land so that you're growing a diversity of diet, fruit trees, fruit shrubs, medicinal plants, culinary plants, herbs, trees, fruits, whatever you can, and then growing a few animals here and there that you can slaughter, depending on your land. So you have to have this full circle and sustainability, where you're making all your compost on land for what you're going to need. Also, you have the animals to be able to do that. Your animals are taken well care of. You have areas where they can eat and feed and they're happy. You might have to low key, some of the animals may have to become smaller, like goats and sheep. That way you're getting all your meat from your own land. You're getting the compost, poopy that you need in order to build compost. And you're getting all of everything that you need to eat off your land, right? Including your grains. Then what happens is that after you're done processing that food, right, you want to dehydrate it. You want to process as much as you can for your family for like the winter time, or, when you're on your downtime where you're not growing food. And then whatever's left over, you can actually sell to the community. And in your local community, there should be a hub where farmers can take their produce, their extra produce, and that there's a hub of people like a co-op or something like that that actually can sell directly to the public that food. Like Russia's already like moved into this arena. I mean, they're growing like 87% of all the food that they need in country for all their people. They're doing it biodynamically too, which is astounding. And the other thing too is like even the smallest person that has a garden backyard is allowed to sell their pickles or whatever else that they're making onto the market, right? So everybody's participating at the level that they can participate at. This is where things are going to be moving back to. I mean, it has been like, I can't even explain to you how difficult the last 12 years has been trying to get the mindset of cities to embrace community agriculture so that people in cities are going to be able to eat, because nobody can grow food in city centers, right? So when this food's no longer being grown and it's not being trucked into these city centers, these people are not going to be getting anything, right? And you are responsible for your food consumption. You're responsible to grow your own food, right? This is part of your stewardship. So nobody is going to get away from having to grow their own food here in the near future. The only thing that gives us freedom, that makes us sovereign, is land and food, nature, clean water, clean air, clean soil. So we're in big trouble in the United States. And I'm sorry that they're not talking to you about any of this. What's happening, they're not talking about it in the media. They're not preparing you at all. It's not going to matter if you have a food storage. Eventually that'll be gone. It's not going to matter if you have, 5 years of MRI, food storage prep, whatever you have, because if you don't have seeds, heirloom, native seeds, and you don't have land, and you don't have water, you don't have anything, and you're going to die. Do the math, look into the history of the planet. Right now, there's like the largest, food famine going on in like 4 countries in Africa because locusts ate everything. They ate even poisonous plants and then now turned themselves into poison locusts. It's like the craziest thing ever. There's like a huge famine, so all the food is gone, right? That's all it takes, a drought, a flood. What you're not being told is in 2019 in spring, the huge areas of the bread belt of the United States were flooded underwater. Okay, this is the same as the Dust Bowl, except for back then the soil was depleted and the topsoil blew off, right? So we're at that point again where our unsustainable practices have caused now a huge flooding in that area instead of a Dust Bowl where we lose the soil. So super easy to get a hold of. You can email me. You can find me all over the internet. If you are interested in learning, new ways of sustainable agriculture and how to turn your large commercial industrial farms into something that's going to be sustainable and long-term, and how to bring, get yourself stabilized so that you can stabilize your community, because food is going to be local and it's going to have to be local. And people are going to have to maybe start listening to people like myself that can help develop, who've already been thinking about a lot of this stuff, who've already tried to meet with people in cities and communities and trying to get some of these initiatives off the ground to educate the public. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time that some of you people need to start listening to people like myself. All right, that's it. Bridget Lynn Dolgoff, Conscious of Economics and Urban Farm Project. Have a great day.